Welcome to the Wrestling System Workshop. The agenda for today. I'm going to be showing you guys how I won states and got a full ride Division I wrestling scholarship and how you guys can do the same thing. I'm going to talk about the 3 secrets to getting better faster. I'm going to talk about your next step to implementing this model, and then we'll finish off with a Q&A session. So throughout this presentation, if you guys have questions, if you're on your mobile phone, there's a triple dot in the bottom right. You can post any of your questions in the chat. So as I'm going through, you guys can post your questions in the chat. I'll answer everything at the end. Also, whoever stays till the end of this training, I'm going to be unlocking 3 free premium instructional videos for you guys, just as a thank you for staying all the way through. So who is this presentation for? It's for wrestling parents. So if you're a wrestling parent looking to help your wrestler achieve their goals, this is for you. It's for coaches. If you're a coach just trying to continue to learn and continue to make adjustments to help your program go to that next level, this presentation's for you. If you're a wrestler, of course this is for you. I'm going to be teaching you how to build out that wrestling system and how to achieve your goals this upcoming season. And it's even for you jiu-jitsu athletes that are looking to get your stand-up game better. You're tired of getting beat up by all these college wrestlers that are coming in off the streets, and you want to get your neutral better. So if you're not one of these, you can hop off, but I really don't think anybody else watches my content that's not at least one of these categories. So my goal in this training, you guys are going to leave with a roadmap to building out an effective wrestling system for you or your wrestlers. Why do I need an effective system? I don't know if you guys know the people in the pictures shown, but you got Jordan Burroughs, you got Bo Bassett, Kyle Dake, Cael Sanderson, some of the best wrestlers. I threw Bo Bassett in there. Obviously, he's still young, but he's well-known wrestlers, in the history of the sport, especially in America. I want you guys to put in the chat, what takedown do you think Jordan Burroughs was going to hit? If you had to bet your life savings on it, put in the chat, what takedown do you think Jordan Burroughs is going to hit? Let me see. Blast double. 100%, right? And this one's a little more tricky. What do you guys think Bo Bassett would hit? I don't know if you guys are, Jordan Burroughs is obviously the obvious one, but if you guys know, what do you think Bo Bassett would hit if he was going out there to wrestle? Snap downs, for sure. You're seeing that a lot. Snap downs, go behinds. He does a fireman's dump too, right? Does anybody, I don't know if anybody remembered Cael Sanderson, but what techniques might he hit? Does anybody know what techniques Cael Sanderson might hit? What things he might be known for? He's kind of further back. He was really good with the ankle picks. That's one of his things, and you'll see a lot of the Penn State guys hitting that. Exactly. My point being is this. The best wrestlers are known for certain things. And it doesn't matter that their opponents know it's going to happen. They've spent so much time perfecting these specific systems, these techniques, that no matter what their opponent does, they're going to do it, and they're going to score, and they're going to win. All right? So that's why you guys need to have it. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to be an Olympic champ or you're just trying to win a state title or get a 50% win record. But what an effective system is having a game plan, right? If this move doesn't work, we can go to this technique. If this one doesn't work, we can go to that technique. And because there's so many techniques in wrestling, you have to get specific. You can't just be a master at everything because you're really not going to take down a high-level wrestler if you've only drilled the move 3 times, right? If you've only wrestled live in that position a handful of times. Okay? So what's my story? Like, what's my background? A lot of times when, when I'm listening to people, when I'm trying to learn from people, I want to hear what gives them the right to share their information with me. Well, I started wrestling in 5th grade. This is a picture of me at my local tournament. And I actually had a lot of success when I started out. I won states as a freshman. I won states in middle school as well. And things were going good. But then everything started to decline. I think it declined. At a minimum, it didn't improve. And I don't really have any photos for this slide because my parents didn't take many photos of me not winning, right? So like the photos in sophomore, junior year, I really don't have a lot of wrestling photos at that time. I got injured my sophomore year. I was doing okay. You know, I think I was like fourth or so in the state, lost a few times, but I was a state champ the year before. So I was kind of like, you know, probably would have placed fourth or third in the state. Ended up getting injured, didn't even wrestle the state championships. Then junior year comes along, and I take sixth in the state. I was a state champ 2 years ago. I was going to be a four-time state, in my mind at least. I was going to be a four-time state champ. Why am I not getting better? Why am I really getting worse? And my junior year going into my senior year is when everything changed for me. And I'm hoping the lessons I've learned from this, and obviously my coaching, is what you guys can take on and implement yourself. This is when I met Coach John Clark. I was a junior going into, actually, just when the season ended. I had a bad season, finished sixth when I was hoping to win it, and I met John Clark. And what he did was he helped me develop my wrestling system. He really spent so much time on that technical side because I was working really hard. I mean, I was wrestling a lot of times twice a day, 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman year. And that's probably why I had some success, but I wasn't improving my technique. I wasn't building out a system. As the photo on the right, I'm doing a match review there. I'm examining what things I needed to make adjustments on. I never did that through middle school all the way through to my junior year. I wasn't tactical and specific with my training. All right. And, you know, as a result, only like 3 months later, I went from taking sixth in Rhode Island. I don't know if who's here is from Rhode Island, but Rhode Island is 45-minute drive across the entire state. So when I say I took sixth in the state, some of you guys might be like, oh man, that's pretty good, right? Taking sixth in the state. I mean, it's out of 7 people, you know, maybe not 7 people, but it wasn't a very competitive, especially in the time, it wasn't even, it was much less competitive than it is now. But 4 months later, I go take on number 10 in the country and show a video real quick. I put him in the first period. So I go from, you know, barely placing at the state tournament in Rhode Island to wrestling a New York State champ and packing him up in the first period. I'm really just having a focus in my training, right? I then went on to win a state title my senior year and, you know, went on into college. And I want to talk about a little side note here. I ended up having to walk on to my school. So I went and I walked on to Drexel. No scholarship. And one of the things I'm going to talk about a little bit later is I was good enough in my mind to get a scholarship, right? I went and beat number 10 in the country. I beat number 18th in the country, but I had no idea how to communicate with the coaches. Why didn't I send my videos to these colleges, to Drexel? Oh man, you beat a couple of nationally ranked guys? Oh, we definitely want you. So because of my lack of information, even on the college recruiting side, I went into a ton of debt my freshman, sophomore year. You know, I loved wrestling and I didn't really understand the debt side, but if I could redone it, I would have been blasting those colleges my junior to my senior year, showing them the improvement I was making, just like I'm talking about right now. So that's a little side note, but I went on to Drexel. Here's a photo on the left looking jacked out of my mind. Here's in the middle, having a little fan club, placing at the conferences on the right. And I ultimately became a 2-time Division I national qualifier and earned a full ride wrestling scholarship by my senior year. So my senior year, I got, you know, 70 grand off college. I got checks for rent, right? For my rental, for food. I was living the life, man. I only wish I had it my freshman year too, but that hard work, all those things that my coach helped me through my junior to senior year, and the thought process on how to build out a system, how to make adjustments, just skyrocketed my wrestling. All right, here's, you know, some photos from the national championships, me with my dad in the back of Steven's head. Steven's on the call too. He'll be answering questions a little later. But now I help others, right? I'm here. We about 5 years ago, me and my brother Steven started Iron Faith Wrestling. We have 2 different clubs now, and we've helped hundreds of kids build out their systems. we became better as coaches, made the adjustments, and we're still becoming better and giving you guys the best information. So because of this success in the wrestling, in the coaching side, our athletes are going and they're winning state titles. We got Gian on the bottom left becoming an All-American, Ash state finalist. Our wrestlers are seeing great improvements very, very quickly. That is why we wanted to put this information online for you guys, right? You guys have seen, I'm sure you guys have seen some of our online videos or part of the online academy. This is what our mission is, to help as many people as possible get good at wrestling. And that's why we have the confidence to share with you guys what we learned, because of the proof, right? So now we're getting to the bulk of it. Just a quick disclaimer. You're not going to get a full ride scholarship by the end of this presentation. It's what you do with the information that matters, right? I walked on at Drexel University, and it really wasn't until my junior year of hard work, implementing these things, getting better, where I was able to earn that full ride and, save over $100,000. And please keep this a secret from your competitors. This is for my Iron Faith, community here. If you give all this information to your competitors, you're not going to have an advantage anymore, right? You want to have that competitive advantage. You got to keep this information a secret, right? And like I said, once we finish this training, and not only am I going to do that Q&A for you guys, so leave your questions in the chat, but you guys are going to get 3 free premium instructional videos that I'm going to lock for you guys at the end. Okay? So now going on to the 3 secrets. Secret number 1, how online training can actually outperform traditional training. Secret number 2, how natural talent is overrated and how anyone can succeed with the right system. And secret number 3, how to thrive even without the perfect training environment. This is what we're going to be going over today. So let's move on to secret number 1, how online training can actually outperform traditional training. Here's a little bit of a story. I had a great freshman year, right, like I talked about. And I want to give a big credit to my man Wade Chalez and his video, Legal Pain, Mastering the Art of Pinning. When I was going through middle school freshman year, I had decent coaches, but I didn't have a national level coach giving me the right information. But I did have access to a video my dad bought me from the #1 pinner in the history of college wrestling, Wade Chalez, going into detail on the techniques he used, the cradles, but mainly cradles, that he used to accomplish his goals. And that's what we have for you, is the information that you may not feel like you have because you may not have the coach, you may not have access to that information, right? So for me, I think this was a big portion of why my freshman year I went out and won states, because I was learning new technique and making adjustments. And I went on to go down to nationals, and I went 4-2 my freshman year. And I'm glad my dad spent the $75 to buy the DVD, because I went to nationals, which normally costs, if anybody knows about financials for wrestling, the trips are what cost the most, right? Taking a family, or me, my dad, my couple brothers down to nationals cost over $3,000. I think my dad was happy that I hit some cradles to get some pins at the national championships. So that's a big portion of, or a big reason of, why we've created our instructional videos. We first started out with Fanatics. We had a bunch of Fanatics videos, and people were loving them, right? We got a ton of 5-star reviews, helping people out. We had, there's a couple Williams saying, great fluid system for getting out. This is about one of my bottom instructionals. What I really like about Ebigeral's system is the amount of, if this doesn't work, try this. It flows from one escape to another, always giving a counter to the counter type system. Very helpful for wrestlers of any level. Also something that is easy and very helpful to go back and review. And then another one, Gonzalo, great content, never been disappointed by an Ebigeral instructional. And then, like you guys know, we started posting on YouTube about a year ago and just putting out the best information we possibly could, because I know how that online training affected me, and I'm seeing it affect other people, right? Now, how do we actually use this online training to get results, right? You have access to my YouTube videos or the free academy, or maybe you bought some instructionals on Fanatics, or bought my instructional, or one of maybe me or Steve instructional on Fanatics. How do we actually use this to get better? Here's my process on how to do that. First, you go to practice and competitions, right? Or if you're a coach, you're obviously going to practice and competition either way. You're watching your wrestlers. You go and you try the techniques in live matches. Go and be offensive. If you want to improve your wrestling, you can't just stand there and stare at your opponent for 30 minutes while practice is going on. Or you can't go out into matches and just freeze up. You have to be constantly attempting the moves that you want to get better at. Step number 3, evaluate where you need to improve on. Go watch your matches over again. See, where did you struggle with? Could you finish the high crotch? Did you struggle? Did you get taken down with a low single? Did you get turned with an arm bar? Did you try your roll through tilt and it didn't work? The list of issues is endless. Just go watch your video, pick a couple things you made issues on or you had trouble with, and then go find the technical answers in the academy. Go search high crotch, go watch the high crotch video, figure out what detail you were missing, compare it to your match, and then go implement it next practice. The nice thing is you guys don't even have to wait to talk to your coach or call somebody up, or you don't have to wait. You can immediately go find the information that you're struggling in, whatever area you need help with, right? Or if you're a coach and you're seeing your athlete struggle in a certain area, you can go find that information by people that you trust, that it's going to work, that those techniques are going to work, right? And that's kind of the biggest thing. Even as coaches, most coaches are very good at their system, which we'll talk about later. They're good at, maybe they did arm bars in high school, or maybe they are really good with their sweep single and their single finishes. But they might not be an expert, which I say most coaches, even myself, not an expert in all categories. But with an extensive library of all these different instructionals, you can go and pick and figure out your issues immediately. So follow these steps if you want to get that leg up on your competition and continue to develop your wrestling at a faster rate. And here's the proof. We started our online academy about a year ago, and this is one of our wrestlers, Javier, who he started off his wrestling career about 2 years ago, and he went 0-7. All right. And then he started joining the online academy about 9 months ago and went on to become a multiple-time national champ. Within a year and a half, winning a national title. I mean, the reason why the secret was it's maybe better than in person, because that's literally better than what my in-person wrestlers are getting, because they're putting in that extra work, right? Javier's putting that extra work. He's going and studying the film, working with his dad. Found a little, they have a little mat space. I don't know if you have access to a mat, but you can do it on your carpet, right? This extra work on the technical side will make all the difference. And it made a difference for Javier. It made a difference for a lot of my Academy members. Here's Elijah as well, and some other photos of some of our wrestlers just making huge jumps from the additional online training. And this is not a just watch videos and you're going to become a national champ. You need to actually train as well. But it's been an amazing supplement for these wrestlers. Secret number 2, why natural talent is overrated and how anyone can succeed with the right system. This is a problem. Hopefully this secret right here is amazing news to hear. You don't have to be 6'3", jacked out of your mind, benching 300 pounds to be a good wrestler. You can succeed no matter where you're at, what your body style is, what your strengths and weaknesses are. And I want to give you a quick example. This is one of my wrestlers, Marcos Ramirez. And his story, he started wrestling his freshman year, and he went 0-35. So not only was he not varsity, right? Or not only did he go not win a match the entire freshman year, but he was JV and didn't win a match. So he lost 35 JV matches, which is a whole different level, right? In the state of Rhode Island, which like I said earlier, maybe not be definitely not the biggest state in the United States. But within 2 years, he became a state placer, and this last year, his senior year, became a state finalist and is wrestling in college. How many of you guys would like to have success like that? How many of you guys would like to be able to jump levels like that and go from JV 0-35 to going on and placing at the state championships? Well, here's how we're going to use this secret number 2 to do so. Step 1 is going to be play to your natural strengths. Step 2, focus on less moves. Step 3, build a personal wrestling system. So, step 1, play to your natural strengths. Let me know in the chat, you guys, what are you? Are you strong? Are you flexible? Are you fast? Are you smart? Are you tall? Are you short? Let me know in the chat what type of wrestler you might feel like you are. And this is something I would definitely save for you guys for the Q&A. So as I talk more, if you have a specific question like, well, what if I am flexible? How can I use that? Or what if I am taller? How can I use my length to help me? Or I'm faster? Definitely save that question for the Q&A. You can even drop it in the chat right now. We'll get to it at the end. But you need to take your natural abilities. And as a coach, I'm looking at my athletes. Oh man, that guy's super tall. Probably should be hitting cradles, right? Or wow, that kid's really fast. Maybe he can wrestle from the open a little bit more. All right, those are some examples. But as a coach, as an athlete, how can we use our natural strengths to actually help our wrestling? And the question is, do you know your natural strengths and weaknesses? Where are you going to be strong? Where are you going to be weak? The second step, focus on less moves. You don't have to memorize hundreds of moves, especially if you guys don't have a lot of time left. You're a junior, you're a senior, you're a freshman. Now, if you're a six-year-old, it's maybe a little less important because you can kind of get exposed to more and specialize maybe a little bit later if you wanted to. But if you don't have much time left, you can't spend time learning a different move every day. It's not going to help you win more matches, at least as fast. You need to go and study your matches. And if you're a coach, study your athletes' matches, see what you're successful with, and then focus 90% of your time on those moves. If you're trying to hit better with your high crotch, and you have a couple different setups there, you're repping that again and again with resistance while your partner's trying to stop you and seeing what adjustments you need to make in those certain techniques you've chosen so that you just keep improving them. Because it's not just repping. I think this is where people make the mistake. They say, oh, my favorite shot's a high crotch. And they think, oh, all I got to do is just do 1,000,000 high crotches and then I'm going to be a national champ. If that's the case, then it's going to be very hard to catch up to people who have been wrestling since they're 6. If I'm a 6-year-old and I've been doing high crotches, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, how is a junior in high school ever going to catch up to me? Even if he did double practices, 3 practices a day, how is he ever going to be able to catch up with just repetition? And it's not just repetition. It's quality reps where your partner gives you resistance, where you're making adjustments on your technique, because that 6-year-old doing a bad high crotch for the past 12 years, and you just do 1 year of good technique, you catch up. So hopefully that helped you guys out with that aspect. Start thinking, maybe put it in the chat right now. Like, what moves am I good at? Write down, am I good at a double? Am I a single? Do I do an armbar series on top? Cradles? Let me know in the chat what you guys should be focusing on, right? And the last thing is building a personal wrestling system. You need to figure out your neutral offensive system. You're going to pick your favorite tie-up, your couple favorite shots. You're going to be good from a front headlock. That's kind of a separate thing, but you have to be good from a front headlock. Neutral defense. You're going to figure out not only how to do baseline defense, but can you scramble in these different positions? Top, what's your top system? Are you going cradles? Are you going tilts? Are you going arm bars? Are you throwing legs in? Are you combining a couple things together? Running an arm bar, then going arm bar tilt, then throwing a half at the end. And your bottom system. What are you doing on the bottom? How are you resisting the opponent? Different terms. Are you going to be going tripod stand up, which I recommend, right? Or are you going to be going sit out series, right? You need to figure out what type of wrestler you're going to be and not switch every month. Make tweaks with it. You can't just say, oh, write out my system, and then a month later, oh, I got a whole new system. And then 2 months later, now I'm an ankle pick guy. Now I'm a single guy. You need to make adjustments with it. When something doesn't work, tweak it, make it better. Just like we talked about earlier, go search the technique up, go make the adjustment on it, go drill it, go wrestle live with it. You need to be developing this, whether you have 10 years of your wrestling left or 1 year left, okay? And these are the results we're getting with my athletes. Like they're getting good results. Gian, in less than 2 years, Gian won states, won New England's, and became an All-American. And he just All-American again. Last year, he took 7th at 8th in middle school. This year, as a freshman, he took 4th. So he not only All-American again, but he made another jump, right? Joe Church, Joe started wrestling his junior year. I don't know if some of you guys feel like they started late. He started his junior year. 1 year later, he won states and took 2nd at the New England's. That's a tournament that combines all the states in New England. How many of you guys would like to start wrestling your junior year and win a state title 1 year later? Like I talked about Marcos earlier, went from JV to varsity state placer in only 2 years. Okay. Now, the last secret, you guys, and then again, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. We'll make sure we answer everything. How to thrive even without the perfect training environment, right? So some of you guys, maybe you don't have the right practice partners. You got an amazing coach, but you only got 3 guys, and they're all different weights, or whatever the case might be, right? Or you're the only one that's serious about wrestling on your team. Or maybe you have a coach, he's doing his best, but he just doesn't, he's only been he maybe never wrestled. There's some coaches out there that have never wrestled or never done, this is what goes across all sports. They're just stepping up because their high school's gonna cancel wrestling and they have to step up and to be, to make sure the team doesn't go away. Well, I'm gonna share with you guys some little tips that I did in the situation I was in to still make big jumps. This was me at my high school. This is before a dual meet. I am the one running the drill and showing technique. I was in a situation my senior year where I was running the practices. So talk about not really having training partners or, not having an ideal training environment. I wouldn't recommend people being the coach of their team they're supposed to be coached on, right? You want to have a mentor, somebody coaching you. So this was my environment, right? And these are the things I was able to do to still jump levels. I didn't have to go and transfer to a prep school to have success. I was able to figure it out, and this is some of the things that I did. First, like I said, you have the technique online. You don't have the right coaching, even if you don't have access to somebody like John Clark, like I did. You don't need that nowadays. You can go and just get the information right on your phone, on your laptop, right? Step 2, get your matches reviewed, you guys. Go and post your matches in the online academy. Get them reviewed. Get people's eyes on them, right? Let people help guide you in the right direction, right? Step 3, work your technique after practice. Now, this is something I wanted to put in because you might be in a situation where, this is most situations, the coach is going to run the practice. You need to work on high crotches, but the coach is like, hey, listen, we got to work single legs, or we got to work defense. But based on your matches the past weekend, hey, I have to work finishing my high crotch because that's where I struggle with. If you're in that situation, then all you need to do is spend time at the end of class or before class working it. Grab a practice partner. You can even bring your coach into it. Hey, coach, I was watching this technique on finishing my high crotch. I need to spend 10 minutes working on that. Work around the practice. Don't let any excuse stop you from becoming a champion. Don't let any excuse, oh, well, my coach doesn't run it the way I want the practice to run, or I haven't been able to work on the things I want to. You can figure it out. And that's one of the ways I did it. And then the last thing is more for a live little bonus tip. And the bonus tip is I was in a position where I was kind of better than everybody else. So in order to get good cardio and to get a good live feel, I would do winner stays in, shark bait. All right. So I would stay in the middle and I would just have like 3 or 4 guys rotating on me so that I was, gassed out of my mind. All right. So obviously the first like 5 minutes, I might still be able to wrestle well. But when you start getting tired, you start making mistakes. So it's another great way. If you don't have a room where maybe you're the best guy in the room and you need to be challenged more, stay in the center, have people rotate on you every single minute. Got that from Khabib. That's what he did in his training. Turned him into a UFC champ. So those are my little tips right there if you're in a similar situation. Okay. So feel free to drop your comment, your questions right in the chat. But I do want to show you a couple more athletes that were in similar situations where they didn't have the perfect training environment, but were able to succeed. On the left, we have Jack Giannetto. In 1 year, Jack went from not placing to becoming a state champ. And he was an even, I would say, about the same style of school that I have. 6 kids on the team, not the perfect environment, maybe nobody to drill with. And he was able to make that huge, huge jump by focusing on building out the system, by coming to club practice after, by asking, sending me his matches to get reviewed, by making all those little adjustments. All right. Now let me ask you guys a few questions. Do you see how having a system can transform your wrestler's journey? Let me know in the chat. Do you see how a wrestling system can make a huge difference? And do you agree that success is about strategy, not just effort or natural talent? And can you imagine how much faster your wrestler could improve with the right roadmap? Have you guys felt like this has been a successful use of your guys' time? Let me know in the chat. Perfect. Seeing some yeses. Love it. Well, if you guys don't mind, before we do the Q&A, and if you've been to this before, I do this little presentation at the end. I would love to show you guys a additional service that I created to help people continue this conversation, to help people, continually get support to build their system, to help their wrestlers jump levels. So if you guys don't mind, can I show you guys that the next few minutes before Q&A? Let me know. Perfect. All right. So, and some of you guys might already be, so I'll rip through it quick, and I'll give you guys an opportunity to ask questions at the end, which my brother Steven will answer. But I created what's called the Iron Faith Video Vault, and I've got some improvements with this. So if you've seen it before, you might as well stay and watch because I added some special stuff to the video vault. But the 2 things I was really trying to do was this. 1, I wanted to give you guys access to all the information. So any technique you ever could possibly need, I wanted to give you access to it. Any coaching information, weight cutting information, college recruiting information, all the information, I wanted to give you guys access to it. And then 2, because you really don't need all the information, especially not at once, I wanted to give you guys a roadmap and the ability to be guided to the right videos, right? Because there's so many videos anyways. You go to YouTube, there's videos on millions of techniques. So I wanted to combine a library of videos with the ability to get guidance on where to put your time and energy. So what would you be getting with the Iron Faith Video Vault? First, you're going to get the Build Your Own Wrestling System course, which is normally $365. That's a total value of $365. It's split up into 15 different sections, and it goes over exactly the areas you need to focus on in order to see actual improvement. It teaches you how to pick the correct tie-up, what 3 attacks you should do, what finishes you need to focus on, how to deal with shot recovery, right? Because the reality is, like I said, if I just gave you 30 more or 50 more instructional videos, it's like, that's too much information. How are you able to really use that? I mean, unless you're a coach where you're constantly trying to learn as much as possible, it's almost overwhelming as a wrestler and as an athlete. So I wanted to give you this course as a way to be guided through building out that system, right? I'll give you a sheet as well with that. That will just allow you to kind of write down exactly what your system is. This is Terry commenting about it. He said, started looking through it this morning, have been preparing to start our season today. I will outline this for sure with my kids as we move along to help them sort through the noise and figure out who they want to be when they step on the mat. Evan Gerald, you're just continually adding value here, and it's greatly appreciated by this coach. And the reason why I say added value there is because I used to not have this in the Iron Faith video vault. It used to be a bunch of videos, but I continually am adding value to this Iron Faith video vault to make sure you guys are taken care of. So what are you guys going to get? You're going to get the Build Your Own Wrestling System course, normally $365. You're going to get immediate access to 30 plus premium instructional videos, normally $1,597, for a total value of $1,962. This is the current list of premium videos. And like I said, if you learned something from this this workshop, what video would you want to see first? Are you an underhook guy? Do you want to watch the underhook seminar? Let me know in the chat. Are you looking to learn how to do a sit-out series or cradle defense? Or you want to learn your leg riding better? Or you want to be better at the front headlock? Let me know in the chat which one you guys, yeah, throw the number in there. We just recorded the defending scrambles one. We had a special guest, Josiah Fry, come in and do one. I'll talk about a little bit later. Exactly. And that's the point. As a wrestler, you need to be guided on, hey, this is where I should be focusing. I'm not going to go watch 33 hours of video when I got to be focused on actually going and winning a state title, going and winning more matches, or improving in my different areas I need to improve in. This is Alyssa, one of our Iron Faith Video Vault members. She said, I love the explanation of the concepts and examples of using the techniques. The premium videos are fire, exactly what I need. And here's some more Iron Faith Video Vault members. The Iron Faith Video Vault covers everything you need as an athlete, parent, or coach. I can't recommend it enough. That's from wrestling coach Matt. The Iron Faith Video Vault has really improved my stand-up game for BJJ a ton. That's from Jack East, one of our jiu-jitsu athletes. I highly recommend the Iron Faith Video Vault. Anyone looking to supplement live training and accelerate their wrestling understanding. That's from Ben. He's one of the wrestling parents. And then Iron Faith Video Vault is an excellent source and easy to navigate. Highly recommended. That's from Abby, one of the wrestling coaches in our academy. We got more coming soon, and you can be a part of deciding what videos we do next. We've got Blair Ride coming. I've got Stefan Michik coming down, world champ, coming down to Iron Faith. We're going to get a video with him, one with Real Woods. So we'll have here and there some guest clinicians come in just to give you guys additional information, right? Additional looks. For example, we had Josiah Fry's. He was a 3-time division national champ. And I had a couple Russian Thai videos out there, but might as well hear from somebody who solely does that technique and made that his system and won 3 national titles with it, and get his little details, little nuances on that. So that's why we're adding some additional instructors on here. Okay. And like I said, we sell these for $77 a piece on Fanatics. You know, a couple different instructionals that I've sold in the past. But that's not it, you guys. Like I said, I want to give you guidance, because just the instructional videos, like, you need that accountability too. It's like, yeah, well, maybe I won't even watch it, right? You need someone telling you, go focus on this video, go look here, go make this adjustment. All right. So I'm giving you guys 2 monthly coaching calls. If you ever want to hop on during the week, you can hop on, ask any question about system, about coaching, about your stand-up game in jiu-jitsu. I'm always going to be available during those coaching calls to help answer anything you guys have. So what are you going to get? You're going to get the Build Your Own Wrestling System course, normally $365. You're going to get immediate access to 30 plus premium instructional videos, normally $1,597. You're going to get 2 monthly coaching calls, normally $300, for a total value of $2,262. And you're going to get access to all of this for only $47 a month. But I want to make this even sweeter for you guys. I want to make it a no-brainer. So I'm going to be throwing in a bonus mindset course because I know technique does not matter if you can't perform under pressure, right? You can have all the right technique, but I see kids who they're watching the videos, they're learning the technique, they're drilling it right, they're doing great in practice, but they go out into matches, they freeze up, they get too nervous, they can't perform well. And I want to make sure you guys are performing at your highest potential. So I'm going to be throwing that course in. I'm also going to be throwing in my bonus drills course. You can get access to drills that really will help speed up your progress. So whether you're a coach, you want to get additional drills for your athletes, or you're a wrestler that just wants to implement some different drills on areas you need to improve on, I added the drills course. And these are all living courses. What I mean by that is they're updated, additional drills, additional mindset videos. Bonus number 3, coaching course, how we run our practices, how we balance a beginner and experienced wrestler in the exact same practice. Gives live examples as well. And like I said earlier, as we learn new things, we'll add them to these courses and continue to make sure you guys have the most up-to-date information on each topic. And then bonus number 4, college recruiting, right? You want to save $100,000 on your college, or you want to help your athletes get into college, you want to share with them the right videos, the right information, you're going to get access as well. And you're going to really learn how do you get colleges to notice you, right? And here's one more little review. Ebed has set up an excellent system here. He systematically addresses the most difficult aspects of the sport. As a wrestler and a coach, as a father and a coach of my son, there is so much information out there for every setup, takedown, and finish. If you read enough material, you'll notice that everyone has 8 ways of doing one move, right? Like this guy does a single this way, this guy does a single that way. Well, how do you handle this amount of complication without spreading your athlete too thin to the point where every move is a blur and your athlete gets great at nothing? The sad part is that many wrestlers do this for years and years, making very little improvement with years of misdirected effort. This was me in high school. It ruined my wrestling journey. Ebed has an answer for that and more. He's also very responsive and professional. I highly recommend his services. So what are you going to get at the end of all this? You're going to get the Build Your Own Wrestling System course, normally $365, immediate access to 30+ premium instructional videos, normally $1,597, 2 monthly coaching calls, normally $300 a month, fast action bonuses. We got wrestling mindset course, normally $125, drills course, normally $125, coaching course, normally $125, and college recruiting course, normally $150, for a grand total of $2,787. And instead of it being $47 a month, today only you're going to get it for $29 a month. So hopefully that gets you guys fired up. And if you guys ever been into the academy, these are the courses that you get unlocked. Any course that has this lock with it is what you get unlocked, all right? And like I said, you get access for only $29 a month. Cancel anytime. And if you want your money back, I don't even care either. Like if you jump on here, you're like, man, this wasn't really what I thought it was. You shoot me a message. There's no issue with that. And I'm also going to be throwing in the PDF of the complete wrestler on top of that, which is pretty much the value of 1 month that you're going to be getting for free on top. So I'll post a link in the chat for anyone interested, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. So I post the link right in the chat right there. I'm going to give you guys about a minute to either, go in if you're interested, go subscribe to the Iron Phase Video Vault. If not, post your questions in the chat, all right? Because we're going to give everybody about a minute or so, and then Coach Steven's going to go ahead and answer any questions you guys might have, okay?
Wait about whenever you guys got questions, you can throw them right in the chat, and I'll start looking through them.
Yeah, we give them
questions about
13:30 or so.
Perfect.
One of the things, Stephen, that this is just like just talk while we're kind of waiting. Stephen got the pleasure to talk with John Danaher yesterday, and he is the #1 jiu-jitsu coach in the world. He coached Gordon Ryan, the #1 jiu-jitsu athlete. He coached George St. Pierre, the UFC fighter who wrestled into jiu-jitsu. And they had a conversation about, Steve was asking, hey, how can we help our wrestlers make that next jump, right? How can we become better? And one of the things he was mentioning was spending more time sparring, which is kind of like, where you're not going 100% live, but 75% live, in the most common position in wrestling. And the ones he said to focus the most time on were scoring from a front headlock, defending a front headlock, and on a leg, defending and finishing shots on the leg. And it's like, think about wrestling real quick. It's like, what positions are actually where people score from? You're either going behind them, this is for neutral, either going behind them, or you're finishing a leg attack. And if you really understand the correct finishes from those legs, and you understand how to, go behind and not go behind, I mean, I really don't see how you're going to lose any matches, right? At least on your feet. So that was it was interesting. It was another adjustment I'm probably going to make as a coach, where we spend a lot more time in those positions, just sparring and really getting our wrestlers to be proficient there. I guess, Steven, you got any questions that came up?
Yeah, I got a bunch here. We got Janet going. What do you do if your family and friends don't support nor understand or support what you are doing, why you do it, so you don't have a support system besides you and your mindset? So that's a great question. I think, a lot of times, part of the nice thing about wrestling is it is kind of an individual sport, but you do need, training partners. You kind of do need people backing you. In terms of your family, well, you don't get to switch your family, so that kind of is what it is. But in terms of your friends, for me at least, growing up and even now, I typically will surround myself with people who have similar goals and kind of on a similar path. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be someone doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, but in general, what you'll find is, a lot of the wrestlers who are doing well are spending time with their teammates. And so you may have to kind of adjust some of your friends if they're not kind of on the same path as you are. The other thing as well is you can take some self accountability. You don't necessarily need everyone to kind of support you. You can kind of be on your own path in this as well, and try not to use it as something that holds you back. I got another one here. How do you improve your wrestling without being able to go to practice? That's a great one. I mean, a lot of times when someone gets injured, they can kind of go through a mental struggle of being like, man, I feel like I'm falling behind. That's, I think, a great time to really study film, whether it's your own film or studying new technique videos to add onto your wrestling. If you're in a situation where you're just not training at all, like you're not going to be training for 6 months because of an injury, you can really improve kind of the mental side of your wrestling and fill your mind with knowledge. But if you're able to practice, you could do things at home as well. Is weight training important, or is wrestling 2 times a day enough to build muscle specifically for wrestling? I don't want to gain too much weight if it won't help me in wrestling. That's a great question. So this is kind of balancing, how much do I wrestle versus weight training versus, other things. And I think weight training is a very important part of wrestling, and it can really help you to be able to finish in positions where you normally wouldn't. I would say like anything from 2 to 4 times a week lifting is good. I wouldn't typically skip a wrestling practice to lift. There's plenty of people who do get very good at wrestling and don't do much for lifting. So the wrestling itself will definitely build muscle, especially if you're the kind of wrestler who pushes himself at practice. But I wouldn't skip practice to lift, but I wouldn't completely neglect lifting. If you're at a point, whether it's in season or maybe you just don't have a lot of time, lifting twice a week will take you a long way. How can I use the fact that I'm 5'5" when going against someone who's taller than me? So if you're a shorter wrestler, it often is easier to get underneath somebody. It can be easier to get in legs, but difficulty becomes in how quickly you can score. So usually a shorter wrestler does not want to end up in long scrambles. Some positions you might want to avoid. You want to make sure you're not getting cradled. Taller guys typically will cradle, but usually the shorter wrestler has the advantage in the strength. So if you're stronger and you can collect both legs, like you can go double or high crotch and double off quickly, you have a big advantage in your offense. Defensive wise, I would really be focusing on good position, sprawling, down blocking, and then on top, guys who are shorter typically, I would recommend like roll through tilt. You know, if you've got the strength, I think a roll through tilt is probably your best bet on top. What workouts can help me with wrestling? That kind of depends if you're talking about, you know, weight training or the conditioning stuff. I didn't really do a lot for conditioning even in college. Most of my conditioning came from the grilling and the live wrestling. If you're struggling with conditioning, I would add that at end of practice. It doesn't really need to be much time, 10, 15 minutes, some sprints, some stance of motion would be great. I would do it after practice because you're already tired. If you have a conditioning session that's separate from your practice, it takes 15 minutes to warm up, and it probably takes another 10 minutes just to get yourself to a point where you're even tired. And so if you can add, you know, sprints or stance of motion after practice while you're already tired, you'll get a lot out of it without having to really kind of make it uh, a separate session. What does a good weight training system look like for a female wrestler? I would say whether you're male or female, you kind of want to lift the same. Um, I would recommend doing all of the barbell lifts: bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, bent rows, pull-ups. There are a lot of different variations of it. Some people can get strong just with body weight exercises. That's fine too. But if you have access to weights, you'll get more out of it in a shorter amount of time. What should I be focusing on during the off season? Consistent shots, conditioning, strength. That's a very good question because right now we're in the off season with our guys. Our main focus in the off season is going to be um, building, building on our wrestling. So you know, this is a great time to add new techniques. It's a great time to add different finishes to your shots. It's a great time to develop without as much pressure. Yes, you're still competing, but kind of when the season comes around, a lot of people are focused on states, and sometimes that can cause people to kind of hold back in their learning out of fear of, like, I don't want to add something new and lose to somebody at the state championship. So the off season is really a great time to build on your wrestling so that, you know, prepping for that next year, you come in, not saying you have to switch your style, but as a more developed wrestler. You know, if you have a weak area, definitely focus on that. And don't neglect your strengths as well. In
Yeah, I
terms of
think
the
also you'll have I mean, if it's the summer, man, you're gonna have so much free time. You gotta definitely be strength training.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, both Evan and I mean, in our Bristol location, we just built out a gym for our wrestlers to lift. And the way I kind of do that is I tell them, hey, this is what I'm lifting, and they just do essentially all the lifts that I do, even though I don't feel like, you know, lifting. It kind of holds me accountable as well. And then in terms of, I would say, where you should be thinking in your practice is really development, and it's going to be being offensive. Don't be afraid of getting scored on. Don't be afraid of trying new things. Really be the wrestler who opens up, because if me and my partner are wrestling, if I'm taking 10 shots or making an attempt at 10 moves for every one that he makes, I'm going to learn at a much faster rate. Um, Not to say I probably will get scored on more, but the goal of practice isn't to not get scored on. The goal of practice is to get better and to develop. And so sometimes the fear of losing at practice can cause people to hold back and not develop quite as fast. So if you can kind of get rid of that pressure and really focus on developing and opening up in practice, you will go further at a much faster rate. Okay, what would be the most effective way to get better with instructional videos if I'm temporarily only going to practice one day a week in the spring? Okay, If possible, 2 days would make a bigger difference. But if you're only going 1 day a week, you want to kind of have a game plan for your practice. Yes, the coach is going to go over certain things. And like Evan said, going in a little bit earlier, staying a little bit after, and having some additional things that you need to specifically work on top of what the coach is going over. And the way I typically will figure out what an athlete needs to work on is going to be based on where they're getting stuck. If someone's getting to shots but can't finish, then we got to work on shots. If someone's finding that they're getting stuck on bottom in practice, then you got to work on that. It also helps to review a match. Like if you're competing, you have 3 or 4 matches over a weekend. You go through and watch those matches and find the positions that you continuously end up in. If you end up in a single, 4 times in a match, but you don't drill that very much in practice, then that's kind of a wasted effort. You should probably be adding those singles into your practice more. So if you're only going once a week, you really want to get the most out of the session you are going to. And then the other side of it would be maybe finding another day that you could make something work, whether it's a weekend, whether it's just you going in with one other partner and kind of doing something on your own. Any extra wrestling will make a big difference. In terms of mindset, what are some things someone can do in order to not freeze up on the mat? That's a great question. So a lot of the mindset stuff comes from kind of where you are in terms of at your practice. So a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I'm good at practice, but I'm not great in a match," or "I'm holding back and I don't know why I'm holding back." Part of that is the fear of losing. Um, and my approach to that would be, if you're wrestling and you're holding back, you're not going to beat the best opponents that you can beat. You will probably beat a lot of the guys that you would beat regardless, but you're not going to go out and beat guys that are at a very similar skill level if you're holding back. So my thought on that is really like, get yourself to open up in practice where there's less pressure, and that will carry over into your matches. Try not, obviously you're training to win, you're competing to win, your goal is to win, but try not to have the only thing you're thinking about being, "Oh, I just can't lose," or "I need to win." Have some sort of um have some things that you can run through your mind leading up to the match. For me, it was going to be things like, keep my feet moving, keep my hands moving, get to my tie up and go. It could be something like, you're really good at a certain shot. It's like, okay, just get to my shot, get to the legs, get myself to my best positions. And so your focus, yes, you're trying to win, but your mind isn't only thinking about the winning. It's more thinking about the steps that need to happen in order to get the outcome that you want. So it's not always like, it's kind of a tough battle, but it's not always going into matches thinking, "I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta win." It's, where you'll see guys get in trouble is they're thinking, "I can't lose." That's where you're going to hold back. That fear of losing is what will cause a lot of people to hold back. And we got time for about 1 or 2 more. So I lift before or after wrestling. Either one's good. Um, there's benefits to both. If you lift before practice, you're going to be a little more tired at practice, but you'll get more out of the lifting. If you lift after practice, you might get a little more out of the wrestling practice, a little less out of the lifting. Either one is perfectly fine. Um, in my opinion, sometimes we will try to optimize something before we're even doing it. So it's like, just get the lift in. Sometimes it'll be before practice, sometimes after. Just get the work done. Don't overthink about, optimizing it perfectly. The goal here is getting better at wrestling, and the lifting is here to help us do that. So if you can lift before, lift before. If you can lift after, lift after. I don't think going before or going after is going to be the sole difference maker between whether or not you have a lot of success in your wrestling.
Yeah. Hopefully that helped you guys out, and make sure to message me on school, like on the academy, if you haven't gotten access to the 3 premium videos, and I'll make sure I unlock that for you guys. Like I said in the beginning. So make sure you message me if you want that. And then, Ulysses, Ricky, and Alexander, the 3 that signed up, we'll have our coaching calls every other weekend or every other week. So if you ever have any questions like these, you want to get our expert opinion on it, then hop on. Look forward to helping you guys continue to get better at wrestling. That's all we got for today. Glad you guys were able to hop on, and excited to get you guys better this off season.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.